Dylan, it seemed like you guys came out with a lot of energy. Did you kind of feel that way?
Yeah, so coming off of the loss last Thursday, we had 3 days off, so everybody had time to kind of relax and think about all of the things that we could do better. And when you're sitting alone, it's like, it's just like you feel uncomfortable because you're like, I am not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, whether that be team-wise or individually. And so that was definitely a motivation going into this week. And so felt like we had our best week of practice and definitely excited with what we put on tape in the first half. With that being said, we felt like we didn't have a very good third quarter. Definitely some things there that we need to look at and improve upon if we want to go where we want to go. So, just knowing that, kind of trying not to get too high after this win because Kansas is a good football team. They had an unbelievable start to the year, and we respected them quite a bit coming in here. Just knowing that we have a lot of big games ahead of us, and the work isn't done yet. Obviously, it's we're 4-3, I think. So just got to keep moving forward and keep working.
Dylan, you guys have that motto of like robbers and jackers this year, you know?
Jackers and robbers.
Yeah. So did you get some signs of that maybe in this game? Obviously, y'all had a couple of, nice fumble recoveries in the first half.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you guys have heard like the whole story behind it. I'm sure you have, but it's like basically like jackers and robbers. Like the difference between theft and robbery. Robbery is committing violence with the taking of what is somebody else's. So that's kind of what we take pride in, is the violent defensive side of the ball. I think you definitely saw that with some of the crossing routes and like the safeties coming down and hitting that hard. Really proud of the physicality that they played with, and then also like their receivers looking this way and they're coming from that way, and so like they got to turn around and the ball's right here to be poked at, and so that's obviously a big opportunity to take the ball with some violence there. So I think we took advantage of that, especially at the end of the first half. So. Proud of that. Proud of how those guys are progressing on the back end because, I see the work that they put in week to week, and just really proud to see that show up on Saturdays. We feel like we've had really great weeks of practice, but sometimes that doesn't show up on Saturday, and I think it showed up today. So.
Dylan, you talked about it a little bit. Really good first half defensively, and then maybe you guys let off the gas pedal a little bit in the second half. What do you guys need to do to have that complete four-quarter performance?
I'm not sure yet. We gotta look at the tape to see what we have going on. I don't think it's a mindset thing because we go out for the second half and everybody's like hooting and hollering in the locker room. Like we talk about having a lot of energy and having real energy. Sometimes we've had some fake energy go on. And that's just kind of like, hey, we have to be here. But really felt like everybody wanted to be there, especially at the start of the third quarter. Everybody wanted to be there at the start of the game, start of the third quarter. Some things didn't go our way. We had, I think we had some turnovers. I think we let up some big plays, and that's going to happen, especially when you play some playmakers like Kansas has. So really the biggest thing is just looking at, technically, like what happened, what the guys are seeing, and making sure that their eyes are in the right spot and they're taking care of their assignment. So,
Dylan, y'all talk about complementary football. Mm-hmm. That first half, was that kind of the picture of what y'all envision in terms of complementary football?
Yeah, I think a really good example of that would be. So our offense turns the ball over on our own side of the field. First half, we get a stop. I think it was a 3-and-out, and we let up a field goal. Second half, we turn the ball over, and immediately they score in probably 4 plays. And so that's just a big part of complementary football. It's like a big thing in football is if the offense turns the ball over, it's go put the fire out. Like the firefighter doesn't care where the fire is. He doesn't care how big of a fire it is. He has to go save people, and he has to go do his job regardless of the adversity at hand. And so that's kind of a big defensive thing is, hey, if the offense turns the ball over, it's not on them. It's a team game, and so go put the fire out. Like, it's your job to go take care of business. It doesn't matter if they turn the ball over on the 1-yard line. And I think we took care of that in the first half, but we need to continue to work towards that as we work into some other games.
Dylan, after allowing 30 points or more in 2 straight games, coming into this one, what was the defense's message throughout the week, and do you guys think that you accomplished whatever goal that you had set?
I mean, our biggest message was just do your 111th. Just trust the guys around you to do their job so that you can do your job, because I think like defense is kind of a bit of a puzzle in the sense that everybody kind of has to change a little bit so that everybody can get their job done and the full picture can look the way we want it to look. And sometimes it's fitting into a puzzle piece that you may not want to. When it comes to, hey, you may want to jump outside of a block to go try to make the big play and have your name called and have people write articles about you. But sometimes you got to go play inside and the safety can come down and fly down and make the big hit. And even if it's a gain of 1 or 2, you did your job, and the safety can trust you. You can trust the safety. And that was a big thing that we looked at after the West Virginia game. Was just doing your 111th, because if we want to continue to grow and continue to win games, we have to fill all 11 puzzle pieces. So.
Dylan, after allowing 217 rushing yards to West Virginia, you allowed 56 today, just 2.5 yards per carry for Kansas. What clicked when it come to stopping the run today?
So we had played a lot of 4 down really throughout the year up till now, and I'm not sure Kansas was expecting the 3 down looks that we gave them. And so that was a big advantage to us. It was kind of a curveball that we threw at them, and that was because they had so much QB run game. We didn't expect, I think his name's Jalen Daniels, 6. We didn't expect him to play, and we knew Bean was more of a runner. And so we got into some 3 down stuff that makes it a little bit better on the backers to fit, and we can bring a safety down and allow the pieces to fit a little bit easier when they start crossing the tight end and start running power read and start running triple option and all those things, because option football is really hard to play defensively from the standpoint of everybody has to do their job because they have so many options, obviously, hence the name. And so, I mean, it was sometimes, even if not all the jobs get done, the defense takes care of it through speed and aggression. It's like solve all your problems with aggression. And we kind of did that a little bit today. So part of it is mindset, but part of it was scheme. And I'm obviously really glad that we had that plan in place. I think Coach Ron Roberts did a great job of getting us ready for that. I mean, we watched clip after clip of split zone, then bluff, then tackle arc, then power read. And I mean, it's play after play of tough fits. And if Kansas continues to do that offensively, I think they're going to be really successful in this conference, especially from the standpoint of, I mean, a lot of what we see is zone run game, and that's traditionally pretty easy to fit as backers because you just play the gap in front of you, you play the open gap. But when those gaps start moving and guys start moving, it makes it quite a bit more difficult, especially as you play 3 down or 4 down, as we like to do as a multiple defense. And so was really focused on just doing our jobs, and I think we were really happy with the result.
Dylan, we talked a little bit about it last year when you got those opportunities against BYU, but it seems like when you're on offense, not only do you get touches, but you're pretty efficient with it, getting first downs or touchdowns when you touch it. Is that something that you work on in practice, trying to getting those little extra yards to make sure you get the first down when your name's called?
I mean, yeah, we don't do a ton of like tackle practice, which is kind of just like, hey, like run your feet, stay low. Which obviously I think I could do a better job of. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when I go on offense is just making sure I capitalize on opportunity for the guys around me, because we have a bunch of offensive linemen. Like I went in on the goal line today, and we had just had like an 80-yard drive or something like that, and the offensive line is like they're panting and sweating, and they're like get us out of here basically. And I'm like, we got to finish. And so basically just like doing my job for their sake, because, if I do my job pretty well, then hopefully we'll be off the field pretty soon. So, yeah. All righty. Thanks, guys.
Ben, can you talk a little bit about what Richard Reese did today, and especially on that last drive where y'all needed the touchdown?
Honestly, I think he just did kind of his own Richard Reese things in a sense. Since he started playing against Albany, we knew he was special. He shows it in practice every week. What he did today wasn't anything out of the ordinary for him.
Ben, when he scores that last touchdown, is it a little bit of a, exhale kind of moment for y'all as a team? Because obviously the second half had gone a little bit differently than the first half.
A little bit, yeah. So going into that last drive, Coach Grimes was like, "We're gonna end this. This is gonna end two ways. Either the game's gonna end and we have the ball, or we're gonna go celebrate in the end zone after we score a touchdown." So I told him I thought he manifested the entire drive, and it was a relief. It bumped us back up a couple points and gave our defense the chance to go out and stop him on fourth. So.
Ben, you guys were much faster from the start on offense, but then third quarter was pretty slow. What was different from the second going into the third, and then how did you guys fix that going into the fourth?
I think for starters, we started off with really good complementary football. Our defense made 2 really good stops on their first 2 drives, and we were able to capitalize on both of those. And then in the second half, a couple different things may have happened. Offensively, we weren't doing the things we should have. We got stopped on the 4th and 1. It comes back to complementary football and like complementing the defense, and they do something well, and then the offense does the same thing back, and then you just have really good football being played. Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, back here. In those moments, like in the second half, where things just you can't quite get over the hump, in the huddle on offense, who are some of the guys that are stepping up, and what's sort of the message that y'all are telling each other in those times?
I believe myself, Blake, Coach Grimes, Coach Mateos, all the coaches. Coach Aranda's pretty vocal. It's cool. But it's just kind of like we have to be who we are, capitalizing, playing in front of the sticks, not making any foolish mistakes or penalties, just playing as a good offense. And I feel like that energy that we had in the first half, we kind of lost in the third quarter, and we were able to catch some of that late in the fourth. But at the same time, it's like we need to be able to have that energy the entire time. So.
Ben in the back. Having Blake in that huddle today, how big of a boost was that for you guys?
It's great. I mean, having him he's our quarterback, right? So having him there, having him being vocal, playing confident, doing Blake things. So it was good.
Ben, I was wondering if you were kicking yourself over the drop in. I'm not going to call it a drop. You just missed the pass. But
It was a drop.
okay. Were you kicking yourself at that point, or how do you kind of put those things behind you?
Good question. For me, that was a really hard moment because in my eyes, I don't drop balls like that. I don't let myself get in situations like that. So it was frustrating. Coach Grimes always says after you make a mistake that he's going to come back to you, and for him to tell me that, it's like means a lot. So.
Ben, going back to that final drive, it seems like the last couple of years you guys have really thrived in smash-mouth offensive football. And knowing that you're going to need to run down some clock, you're going to need to keep it on the ground and kind of get back to who you guys are. How did that feel to go back to a drive like that to close out the game?
It felt good. We really didn't have a choice when you're looking at it from – everything looks like a choice most of the times, but that was not a choice. We had to do that. But your question, it feels good. And when you have an offensive line and a couple tight ends and a strong back all working as one, there's no other feeling like it. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, it's good to see you guys. I thought, when speaking to the team, we talked about this past week. It was really the best week of practice that we've had. Really the best week of practice since I've been at Baylor. in terms of just the effort and the finish and the energy and having it be real energy and not something that's forced upon or, we're doing it just because there's an expectation. I thought all of it was real. And, some of the film from a Tuesday and a Wednesday practice, you'd look at it and there's guys that are covering 20, 30 yards of ground, long stride to a short stride and thudding up ball carriers, and there's receivers that are running across the field working to cut off a safety, and just way phenomenal effort and way impressive. And I thought, all of that kind of gets you in a position to play at your best on Saturday. None of that really is going to just guarantee that you're playing well, but I think it puts you in a great spot to do that. And so I thought the guys were able to put those two things together, and the week and then the mindset to start fast. I think we've had games before where we're fighting uphill to do that for whatever reason, and so way impressed with that. And I just think that's kind of the glimpse of who we can be, and we're still just scratching and clawing and fighting to be that, and still have belief that we can be that. And it's elusive, though, because you guys are all with us in the second half. And so, I think the ability to finish and just all of it, I think is, this season's like everything is being, it's all about defining things and kind of have, it's difficult to have patience when you count the wins and the losses. But I think it's way important to have patience and, to teach, And so the ability for us to learn a really hard lesson and then win is a successful thing, because we've learned some hard lessons and have taken losses. And this is the first time that we can do it and say that we've won. And so, I'm proud of the guys, a whole lot to work on and get better at, and we will do that. Take any questions you guys got.
Dave, obviously Richard Reese had a big day. Can you talk about the confidence you have in him, especially as a freshman, and especially what he did on that last drive?
Yeah, so appreciate that. So he played physical. I thought he played with an edge. I thought he was violent. It's something about when you're an O-lineman and you're moving people and you've got combos and there's you're working up to linebackers and all of it, and you're getting attached to people and you're running off. And if you can give a running back 3 or 4 yards prior to contact, there's something about when that running back can get you or us a yard or 2 yards extra and fall forward. We had a fair amount of that a year ago. And what ends up happening is as an O-lineman, you see that, and that energizes you more, right? Because it's like, hey, here we come, You feel like you're kind of running downhill at that point. And, prior to this, and there's been flashes prior to this game, but I think there's been a fair amount of us, creating 3-4 yards and then kind of running into a wall. And this is the first time I can remember just constantly falling forward and the violence of all of it. And so that fed into the O-lineman. And once you have that, you've got yourself a running game. And so our task is to, continue that.
Dave, a little bit more about that final drive. What does it say about your team after giving up 20 straight points to come down when both teams know you're going to run the ball and to run it right down their throat? I mean, that was a real butt-slapping drive, Dave.
Yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see. I thought, I wish there's probably more of that earlier. That it didn't take that. It didn't take all of those points to be scored prior to that to happen. And I think, however you call that killer instinct or whatever that is, we're aiming to work to get it. And the best teams have that. And so I think for us it's something that we have to teach. And I have to teach it better, and we have to execute it. And to make it where we want to make it with the rest of the schedule as it lays out, we're going to need it, And so to be able to close out the game when it's needed is good to see, but we all would like to not be in that situation again.
Dave, how concerned are you with Blake's ball security right now? Second straight game with fumble, a couple of interceptions. Where are you with that?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think there's, there's improvement he can have with his ball security for sure. But then I think there's also decision-making improvement. And I think both of those are kind of combining for the turnovers that we're seeing. I think a week ago, out of the pocket, right, I'm no longer a thrower, I'm a runner. He's got to secure the football. I think this one, right, trying to decide, am I still a thrower? Am I going to turn into a runner? Right, those decisions being quicker, and there's a pause and a hold and a wait, and then the ball comes out. And so I think those are two separate things, and I think we're going to work to improve both of those. And then I think as far as some of like the picks, I mean, I think there's times where in his past where either we're pushing late in the fourth quarter to try to get back into a thing, or a ball is thrown to a guy and he has it and it bounces off him to another guy. So not letting that cloud things and really focusing, taking the emotion out of it and focusing on, hey, here's what we're doing, here's how we can improve on it. I think that's the approach that we're going to take. And I know of everybody, it hits Blake the hardest, and I know that he's going to work really hard to improve on it.
Dave, you brought it up. What was different in that third quarter, especially on the offensive side, and how did you guys adjust to be able to get that critical last drive and extend the lead?
Yeah, I think it was just finish. I think at one point, if you're to go from the 20 to the 20 or whatever it was, it's a 5 yards of play, 6 yards of play, whatever it is. And I think the time was coming off the clock, and I think they were. You could sense that Kansas was tired, and they were kind of pushing against it, and having to get subs in, and you could feel just the wilting, or the initial part of that, which is all good. That's all the stuff you want. You just want to be able to finish the drive, and I think it comes back to focus and mindset, and those are things that we had to start. Those are things that we lost to finish, and I take that upon myself. So I have to do a better job of that, and we will.
Dave, on the shape and sneak that you were trying to almost put it away right there, it seemed like there was I don't know if it was a good spot, bad spot, they didn't count it, but did you think about getting a replay there?
We did. Yeah,
was it too late to do anything about it, or?
They replayed it and said that it was confirmed. Yeah.
Coach, back to Richard for a second. You talked about the way that he runs. Do you remember any other times in your career where a guy goes from taking fourth quarter, what we would call garbage time snaps in game one, to game 7 or 8, and he's going for over 200 total yards and 2 touchdowns?
One of the things that impresses me with Richard is just his, so we have chapel, and we do it on Mondays, so we're off on Sundays. And so he's a musician, and so he's up there in the front, and Coach Wetzel will generally have his guitar, and he'll do the singing, and Richard is there playing the bass and everything else, and we're the whole team singing songs, and I think he does it with just no emotion at all on his face, and I think there's a humbleness about him, and there is just a matter of factness. I don't know what the right words to say about him. And I think when you put both of those things together, then you can see, the journey that he's had from where he started to where he is now. And I think if he can keep that humbleness about him, which I'm sure he will, and he can continue to have a learner's mindset and really apply it, sky's the limit for him. We're way excited he's on our side. All right, thank you guys.